Jake had always considered himself a devoted husband. For 6 years, he had poured his heart into his marriage with Emily, building a life together that he believed was solid. They had their ups and downs, just like any couple, but never had he imagined that his world would come crashing down so suddenly. They had talked about having children in the past, but Emily had always been hesitant. She wanted to focus on her career, travel, and enjoy their time together before committing to parenthood. Jake respected that, even though deep down, he longed for a child of their own. So when Emily sat him down one evening and nervously announced that she was pregnant, his heart swelled with joy until he noticed the way she refused to meet his gaze. Confused, he reached for her hand, but she pulled away. "Jake, there's something I need to tell you." His stomach dropped. The excitement in his chest quickly turned into unease as he watched her fidget. "What is it?" he asked, his voice cautious. Emily swallowed hard before whispering, "The baby, it's not yours." The words hit him like a freight train. For a moment, he thought he had misheard her. "What?" His voice was barely above a whisper, but the tremor in it was undeniable. Tears welled up in Emily's eyes as she wrung her hands. I made a mistake. It only happened once. I didn't mean for this to happen." Jake felt his body go numb. His mind struggled to process what she had just said. His wife, his partner, the woman he had trusted with his heart, had been unfaithful, and now she was carrying another man's child. He pushed himself off the couch and took a step back, as if distance could somehow make this situation less real. "Who is he?" he finally asked, his voice eerily calm. Emily hesitated. "It doesn't matter." His jaw clenched. "It matters to me." She shook her head. "Jake, please. I don't want to talk about him. He's not in the picture." He let out a bitter laugh. "Not in the picture? Well, he sure left a mark, didn't he?" Emily flinched at his words, but quickly composed herself. "I know I messed up, but I love you, Jake. We can get through this." His fists clenched at his sides. "Get through this?" He let out a hollow chuckle. "You cheated on me, got pregnant, and now you expect me to just what? Pretend this never happened." Emily's expression shifted from guilt to determination. "You wanted a baby, Jake. You've always talked about being a father. This could still be our family." The audacity of her words nearly made him dizzy. "Are you serious right now?" She reached for his hand, but he yanked it away. "Jake, please. I know it's not what we planned, but this baby needs a father." He stared at her in disbelief. "And you think that should be me?" Tears streamed down her face. "Why not? You love me. You wanted to be a dad. We can move past this." He took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm raging inside him. "You made a choice, Emily. And now, you want me to clean up the mess?" "It's not like that," she pleaded. "I don't want to lose you. I know I hurt you, but I can't do this alone." Jake ran a hand through his hair, his mind racing. A few hours ago, he had been picturing a future where they were finally parents. Now, he felt like a fool. Emily had betrayed him, and instead of facing the consequences, she expected him to step in and raise the product of her infidelity. He took one last look at the woman he had once trusted with his whole heart and felt something inside him break. He had a choice to make. Jake didn't sleep that night. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, his mind a whirlwind of betrayal, anger, and disbelief. Emily had cheated on him. She had not only shattered his trust, but had the audacity to ask him to raise another man's child as if nothing had happened. It was surreal, a nightmare he couldn't wake up from. By morning, his emotions had settled into a cold, hard clarity. He couldn't stay. He couldn't pretend that everything was fine. But he also wasn't about to make any rash decisions. He needed to be smart about this. Emily acted as if everything would go back to normal after her confession. She cooked breakfast, gave him lingering touches, and tried to pretend they were still the happy couple they once were. But Jake remained distant, barely speaking. Every time he looked at her, all he could see was betrayal. A few days later, she sat him down again, her hands trembling slightly. "Jake, we need to talk about the baby." He scoffed. "You mean the baby that isn't mine?" She winced but pressed on. "Yes, but..." Jake, I need you. He raised an eyebrow. You need me? She nodded earnestly. I know I hurt you.
But you love me.
And I love you. We've built a life together, and I don't want to throw that away over a mistake. A mistake. His voice was laced with disbelief. Emily, a mistake is forgetting to take out the trash. You had an affair. Tears welled up in her eyes, but Jake had no sympathy left to give. I can't do this alone, she whispered. Something about the way she said it rubbed him the wrong way. And where's the baby's father in all this? Why isn't he the one you're asking for help? Her face hardened. He's not in the picture. That's not an answer, Jake shot back. He doesn't matter, she insisted. You matter. We matter. He let out a bitter laugh. I matter? If I mattered, you wouldn't have done this. Emily sighed, exasperated. Jake, please. You always wanted to be a dad. This baby may not be yours biologically, but it can still be ours. The sheer audacity of her words made him sick. Let me get this straight. You cheated on me, got pregnant, and now you expect me to play house with you and your affair partner's kid? She nodded, as if it was the most reasonable thing in the world. You said you wanted a family. Why does it matter where the baby came from? His hands clenched into fists. Because it's not mine, Emily. And you broke the one thing we had, trust. For the first time, her expression darkened. So what? You're just going to leave? Walk away from everything we built? He took a deep breath, suppressing the urge to explode. I don't know yet. That wasn't entirely true. He knew exactly what he had to do. But he wasn't going to let Emily see it coming. She scoffed, crossing her arms. Well, if you do leave, just know everyone will see you for what you really are, a coward. Jake's blood ran cold. A coward? She nodded. A real man wouldn't abandon his family. A real man wouldn't turn his back on a child that needs him. He studied her carefully. This wasn't just desperation, it was manipulation. She thought she could guilt-trip him into staying. But she had underestimated him. That night, while Emily slept soundly beside him, Jake silently reached for his phone and began making plans. If she thought she could trap him, she was in for a rude awakening. Jake moved carefully. He knew that if he made a dramatic exit, Emily would spin the narrative to make him the villain. She had already started laying the groundwork with her manipulation, acting like he was the one who was abandoning her, as if her betrayal didn't matter. He refused to let her control the situation. Over the next few weeks, he played his part. He nodded along when she talked about the pregnancy, kept his emotions in check, and let her believe that she had a chance to convince him to stay. But behind the scenes, he was setting everything up for his departure. The first thing he did was visit a lawyer. I want to make sure I have no legal ties to this child, Jake said firmly as he sat across from the attorney's desk. The lawyer, an older man with sharp eyes, nodded. Smart move. Technically, since you're still married, there's a risk that you could be considered the legal father. But if you leave before the baby is born and refuse to sign anything, you should be in the clear. That was all Jake needed to hear. The next step was untangling his finances from Emily. They shared a joint bank account, but he had his own personal savings as well. He started transferring small amounts at a time, nothing too drastic that would raise suspicion. By the end of the month, he had secured his funds and made sure Emily wouldn't have access to them. Then he found a new place to stay. It was a simple apartment on the other side of town, far from the home he and Emily had shared. He signed the lease under a different account, ensuring she wouldn't be able to track him down easily. Finally, he waited for the perfect moment to disappear. One evening, Emily came home glowing. She had just come from a doctor's appointment and was eager to share details about the baby. Jake listened, nodding at the right moments, all while mentally preparing for his exit. I was thinking, Emily said, placing a hand on her stomach. Once the baby is here, we should do a fresh start. Maybe move somewhere new. Jake forced a smile. That sounds interesting. She beamed, completely unaware that he had already made his decision. That night, once Emily was fast asleep, Jake made his move. He had packed his essentials days ago, documents, clothes, anything important. He left his wedding ring on the nightstand, along with a simple note. Asterisk, I am not this child's father, and I refuse to be your backup plan.
Goodbye.
Asterisk. And just like that, he was gone. The next morning, Emily woke up to an empty house. At first, she probably thought he had gone for a walk or stepped out for coffee. But when she saw the note, reality would have hit her like a ton of bricks. Jake didn't answer when she called. He ignored the barrage of texts, the desperate voicemails. Then came the anger. Emily asterisk, you're seriously doing this? You're leaving me while I'm pregnant? Asterisk. Emily asterisk, you're heartless, Jake. I hope you know that. Asterisk. Emily asterisk, people are going to know what you did. You abandoned your family. Asterisk. But Jake didn't bite. He simply blocked her number and moved on. He had given her his trust, his love, and the best years of his life. She had thrown it all away for a moment of weakness, and then had the audacity to expect him to clean up her mess. Not anymore. He was finally free. The first few days after leaving felt surreal. Jake half expected Emily to show up at his new apartment, pounding on the door, demanding he come back. But she didn't know where he was. He had made sure of that. He ignored the mutual friends who reached out, clearly acting as Emily's messengers. Some were sympathetic, others judgmental. She's pregnant and alone, Jake. Are you really going to abandon her like this? You guys were married for years. You're just going to ghost her? That's cold, man. At least help with the baby. It's not the kid's fault. Jake didn't bother responding. He had nothing to say to people who only heard Emily's version of the story. He refused to explain himself to people who didn't care about the truth. But then, Emily took things a step further. A few weeks later, Jake received an email from a lawyer. Emily was trying to claim spousal support. He shook his head in disbelief.
Of course she was.
She had cheated, betrayed him, tried to manipulate him into raising another man's child, and now she wanted money? She truly had no shame. Thankfully, Jake had already taken precautions. His lawyer handled everything, sending a firm response stating that Jake was not responsible for the child, and since he had left before the birth, he had no legal obligation to either of them. It didn't stop Emily from trying. She sent emails, made new accounts to message him, even reached out through his family. Emily asterisk, we can fix this. Just talk to me. Asterisk. Emily asterisk, you're the only father this baby will ever know. Don't do this to us. Asterisk. Emily asterisk, I made a mistake, but you're making it worse by abandoning me. You're not the victim here. Asterisk. Jake finally replied to one message. Not to argue, not to explain, but to put an end to it once and for all. Jake asterisk, you made your choices. Now you get to live with them. I don't owe you anything. Don't contact me again. Asterisk. And with that, he blocked every possible way she could reach him. Months passed, and life slowly returned to normal. He focused on work, reconnected with old friends, and even started dating again. He didn't rush into anything serious, but it felt good to be with someone who wasn't trying to manipulate or use him. One day, while scrolling through social media, he came across a post from an old friend. Someone had shared a picture of Emily. She was holding a newborn baby, smiling at the camera, but there was something off about her expression. The comments were filled with sympathy. Stay strong, Mama. You got this. He left, but you don't need him. You're an amazing mother. His loss. Your baby is beautiful. Jake simply shook his head and closed the app. Emily had tried to trap him, and when that failed, she played the victim. But it didn't matter anymore. He was done. He had escaped before she could drag him down with her. And for the first time in a long time, he felt truly free.